Does anyone else have a bowl full of teeth? Well, you'd be surprised at what I found in here. I know I certainly was. This is one of the most neglected areas for us when it comes to decluttering. This light is gonna be great, by the way. Quite often, we start with the main areas like the kitchen or the living room, our closet. But then we end up forgetting something that is just filled with things that can get old, can get expired. Let's get into decluttering the medicine. So I'm gonna pull out this little bucket. Of course that's gonna happen. This is full of many, many things. So let's see what's in here. And I'm gonna try to keep some privacy. So let's see how that goes. Okay, and down I go again. This is quite high up, by the way. So first things first, I'm gonna need two bowls. One, I'm just going to use for garbage, and one I'm going to use to put things that can go back to the pharmacy, because you shouldn't be throwing medications away. They should be disposed of properly at a pharmacy. So clearly this is pretty messy. And basically we just need to tidy up. I have got some lozenges here. We have medicine for sick people. This I'm gonna put in a different spot, you'll see. So quite often we have like the Tylenols, we have the cold medicine, the vitamins, which I have a bunch of up there. Tylenol, Advil, iron, digestive stuff. I've got vitamin D. This stuff is great for focus. Up here you can see I have lots of Onward, which I absolutely love, and more vitamin D, fiber medicine, because one of the kids had issues with that in the past. And you know what? I actually need a third bowl because some things are going to go into a different spot. You'll see. Anything that is expired has got to go. Oh my gosh, this expired in 2015. Not cool, bro. And this expired in 2021. Oh, I bet these are long. Okay, so these have expired 6 years ago, February 2017. Gonzo. This I actually got because we do live in an earthquake area. What I did was I had my pharmacist give me 2 weeks of medication so that I could have an emergency supply. So this needs to go downstairs with the emergency kit. Now, one thing we have a lot of is old ADHD medications. So the ADHD meds is kind of an interesting story, because when we first had our son diagnosed, one of the teachers said, just give him coffee, that'll be totally fine. And so we were like, what? We took him to the pediatrician, and we were kind of hesitant at first to start him on medication, as quite a lot of parents are. So instead we were like, let's try some of the behavior modifications, all of that stuff. Well, I won't say that exactly worked. So we did end up switching to medication about 9 months later. In the past, when I was growing up, one of the kids that I went to school with actually came over to my house once, and she was like kind of judging our family based on the medications that we had, which was really kind of weird, because I mean, I don't want to be taking a bunch of medications, but I've had reflux since I was a child. So that's just something I have to deal with. And obviously, I'm not going to put myself at risk for not treating that, because you can actually get something called Barrett's esophagus, which can then lead to esophageal cancer.
Okay, so just getting this first round of medications put away, there is more to come, believe it or not. So I just put the things that we use in here, and I want to say that if your doctor has prescribed medication, that probably means that you need it and you should take it, so don't feel judged. The other thing is that we should definitely go through them periodically, because sometimes they lose their effectiveness, sometimes they have too much effect, so go through them.
Put the basket back nice and ready, and this vitamin C stuff. So wow, that is like way tidier. And the thing is, quite often we just don't realize how messy these things are. And I can't believe I haven't tackled this before. I really can't. The bedroom closet. There isn't an area that everybody also keeps medications. I think most people do anyway. It's also their bedroom closet, which is where we keep a lot of our medications. So I'm just gonna go through here. There's a bunch of old stuff. Usually it's just things we might need in the middle of the night. Clearly a lot of this can go, so I'm gonna go through this. Does anyone else have a bowl full of teeth? I have a bunch of teeth here in Ziploc bags. I know who some of them are. Like B, these are B's teeth. And I've got, these are like gross. I've got them in like paper towel and tissues and Ziploc bags. Is that weird? It kind of is, isn't it? But what are you gonna do with your kids' teeth when they're gone? Like really, like I can't, you know? Like it just feels wrong. Now this is the stuff that was gonna come up here. and I can keep them in here. But first, I'm just going to go through this little bin here and get rid of things. Now, gravel is something we always need to have in our house. I have a major problem with stomach issues. Now I know you're like, everybody does. Oh no, not like me. I have lice shampoo. My kids had lice once. It was like 11 years ago, and I am terrified of them coming again. I've got this little tiny lice comb. No, no, no. I'm not having lice in my house again. Now, when we did take my son to the doctor, finally, again, and said, okay, we want to put him on medication. She said, okay. That was a really, really rough month because when we put him on the medication, first of all, we were nervous. We were putting our son on a controlled substance. So it was a rough month because titrating that medication up, like slowly increasing it, made him feel awful. We felt bad. We were so nervous about putting him on the medication. And I was honestly like, oh my gosh, like I just don't know if this was the right choice. And so many people from my channel, they say that to me. They're worried. And clients I talk to, they're worried about starting medication for their child because they're worried that they're going to end up addicted or that they're medicating their kid and that's a super bad thing. Totally understandable that that would be a concern for parents for sure. But the thing is, what happens if you don't put them on that medication? What happens if you leave them off of that medication and so they grow up feeling like a failure? Because a lot of us with ADHD, we felt like failures growing up. I know I certainly did. I didn't get diagnosed until my 40s. So I really, really, really thought something was wrong with me for a long time. I didn't even understand, like after my kids were diagnosed, I didn't understand that I had it for a long time because my ADHD looks a lot different than my family's. Like my husband has it and the two kids. So I was just like, oh my gosh. So if you don't try medication with your kids, then potentially what you're doing is they might end up medicating themselves with other things like drugs and alcohol, which is a concern. April 2017. So for us, we were like, let's give it a try. Now, once he got to the correct dose, 1 month later, he had titrated up to the proper dose. It was like a totally new person. Okay, I'm done here. Let's go downstairs. This is just the emergency supplies basically at this point. Okay. This is where it gets scary. My husband brought me a tea. Isn't he the sweetest? I just love him. Well, here's the thing. You know the buckets that I had, and the one is garbage, and then we have the one that goes back to the pharmacy. You know what? As soon as we put that child on medication and it started working, he started doing better in school, and we actually got to know our kid. He actually became creative. He suddenly had the time to slow down. He could build things from Lego. He built like a Lego lock, like a big fancy lock. I mean, he would look them up on YouTube and stuff like that, but it was so cool. So anyway, this box is for stuff meant to go to the pharmacy, even though it looks like I have some garbage in there anyway. Well, when our second child was diagnosed with ADHD, we ended up, he needed to try a different medication. So our first son, when he got diagnosed the first time, basically the first one worked for him. We titrated up and it was perfect. Well, our second kid, it wasn't the same. He needed a different medication. So what happened is we have a whack of different doses. Like I have a full-on pharmacy in my house of different medications for my children. So basically what it is all of these are things that we have tried in the past. So if you're concerned about trying medication for yourself, for your ADHD or your child, just know that it may take a few different doses. This big thing, and there was already a few in there, full of medications to go back to the pharmacy. Now, of course, medication can help ADHD and every other thing. Now, all of these medications I'm talking about, they were mostly for ADHD. For me, I actually do the vitamin route just because I have structured my house so well to work and so much organization. Now, organization and decluttering are so helpful. Check out this video here, which is 7 habits for organized people. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.